Hi, I'm Ben from Bromyard Glass and I'm going to teach you how to cut glass. The first thing you'll need is a flat surface. We coat ours with carpet, nice 80s rug here. The most important thing is to make sure that it's free from obstacles and that any previous glass particles are swept off to prevent the glass scratching. Next, you'll need appropriate equipment. A good pair of safety gloves, wrist protectors, and also a helmet for any glass that you'll be lifting above your head. The type of glass cutter is important also. We use a Toyo glass cutter, not an oil-filled one. You see these cheap 6-wheel glass cutter, very poor glass cutting quality. This is an important tool. Once you have it, you won't be looking back. Also very important is white spirit. We don't use any oils. We tend to see that these leave a residue on the glass or can sometimes clog up the cutting head. We leave the glass cutters in an upturned yogurt pot overnight or when not in use. The safety equipment is very important. I've been working in it for 20 years and I've seen some of the hazards that glass can cause. So be sure to always wear gloves when cutting glass. Wrist protectors are very important. And just be sure that every area around you is free of obstacles. The more space, the better, really. When it comes to measuring the glass, you'll need to take into account the distance of the cutting head. It's either plus or minus 2 mil. Depending on what hand you are, I'm left-handed, which isn't common. But if I was trying to cut 80 mil here, I would measure top and bottom, double checking. I would be adding on 2 mil to cut 80 mil. When scoring the glass, you want to apply medium pressure. We will dip in white spirit before each cut. What we'll be looking for is a zipping sound and a clear line, not one that's white. There are various ways of breaking the glass. So when scoring, you could use over the table if you feel that there's enough glass. You could use the cutter itself. Placed evenly underneath and applying a little bit of pressure. Well, one of my favourites, when wearing gloves of course, is to use your hands to break the glass out. When cutting a small piece off a piece of glass, you can use glass pliers. But of course you can't do that on too big a pieces. So it would just be small edges that are more difficult to break out by other means. When cutting pattern glass, you want to be sure you're cutting the smooth side and not the rough side. When cutting laminate glass, it is of course more tricky. I've already scored this side and broke it out. We'll flip it over. And we don't always use the tape measure here, because what we're trying to achieve is to cut from the line that's already there. So match it up best you can, of course allowing for your 2mm. Always look to use the smaller side of the piece that you're cutting, leaning over the table. Just gently start to ease the laminate so there's enough room to get a razor blade in there, and then simply score across. When scoring the glass, break it out as soon as possible. Once you've started cutting glass, don't get distracted. Just get the job done as soon as possible. This is a piece that's been scored by a Paul glass cutter, not me, the actual glass cutter. And we've got quite a white line there. This has been left for about 20 minutes and it isn't as easy to break out as that piece was. It will with a bit of force or a bit of downward pressure with this. But the cut has blistered really and it's not ideal. Once you've scored the glass, break it out. Very good to check your measurement to 205 is what I was trying to achieve here. 205 top and bottom. Get into checking your measurements. We have a policy here, cut once, check twice. So you check in before you've cut to get your measurements right. Once you've cut the glass, just check it again. And that way it just eradicates any errors. Glass should always be stored on its edge. Never lay flat. Any little pieces that you have in your racks, got dust on them, are only going to be a detriment to the bigger panes around it. They're more likely to scratch them. Throw them away. Remember, this is a skill which comes with practice and repetition. It can take time to build up a skill level, and you start to learn how much pressure to apply on different thicknesses of glass. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found this helpful.